Hello, my name is Michael Zarick, and in 1989, a man named Ray Oldenburg wrote a book called The Great Good Place. In this book, he outlines a place that is outside of your home and outside of your work that he coined the third place. In this place, it's a place that you can go, exist, be with others, and build community. So I've made it my job, role, goal, mission, whatever word you want to use, to find people all over Indianapolis who are doing their very best to make and create community all over this town. And so today, I'm super excited to share with you that today's guest is Savannah Jacob, local ceramicist, local community builder, and local Mars owner.
That's
I'm
true,
Mars.
yeah. My most important job.
Yeah, if you're not watching, we have a dog.
We have a dog. We have a long dog. Yeah.
What's a Mars wiener? Is that right now?
Yeah, Mars no wiener. She's a girl.
So a little background, Savannah reached out to me.
Like a decade ago.
It was like 9 months ago, literally.
It was a while, yeah.
And you were like, hey, I think I'd be good to come on the podcast. You were one of the very first people actually to reach out to me and be like, hey, I think I would be good on the podcast.
Which I want to say I've never done that before. I was just like, I do think I was like, I have some relevance to the Third Space, so yeah.
And I want to also give a shout out to you because like it was very unassuming.
For
and
having balls.
Like, yeah, shout out to having balls. But it didn't feel like
aggressive
or anything like that, where it was just like, oh, this person, like, I think you said a few key words where I was like, they get it. And so we met up, and I want you to talk about it, but you have an art installation. Is that what you call it? Art display.
Yeah.
Down here in Bates Hendricks, which is your neighborhood, your hood.
Yeah, this is my neighborhood.
And we're also in Lincoln Lane,
Coffee House.
Coffee and Community Center.
It's easy to get that confused with Lincoln Square pancake place. Yeah, because when you type it into Google, that comes up. But yeah, I initially reached out because I founded, manage, curate social media. I do all the things for the Bates Hendricks Neighbors Gallery. And I really want that to be, if not a third space, a connection to third spaces. So we're at Lincoln Lane, and one street over is the Bates Hendricks Neighbors Gallery, and then another street over is the Bates Hendricks Community Garden. So it kind of like connects all of those. It's in the middle of those two. And I was like, I'd love to talk about that, because that was kind of my goal with the Neighbors Gallery, is having a place that people can come to see art in a very like low-key, nonchalant way. But then you can also just pop over here or pop over to the community garden. But then when we met up and we were talking, I was like, well, now that I'm thinking about it, my whole job is like about third spaces that are just kind of pop-up third spaces, because I'm a ceramicist, and the way that I make that work full-time financially is I travel to go to like art shows and art fairs, and they're literally just pop-up third spaces. So then I was like, shit, my whole thing is like about third spaces. I was like, actually I have more to talk about. That's
funny.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, I mean, I kind of loosely know, but like, why did you make the, oh my God, what's it called? The box?
The Bates Hendricks Neighbors Gallery.
The Bates Hendricks Neighbors Gallery.
Yeah.
So this is something that like, do you know Anderson York, the indie bench?
Yes. I mean, I don't know him, but I know like his mission.
This is like the type of thing that he would be really interested in.
Yeah,
where it's just like you like just made a giant metal box. You told me you forced your husband and someone else to like carry it for you.
Yeah.
Like you were like a queen, like pointing.
Yeah. Because it's insanely heavy. I don't know how much it weighs, but yeah. And so I personally didn't make it. I helped design it, but the actual designer, fabricator of it is my really good friend from college, Paul Williams, who actually lives right down the street, which was a bonus, because I'm like, oh, you're in the neighborhood, even better. And so he designed, fabricated, and made it, but he made it at machine maker space attached to the amp, so we had to transport it, which was fun. Yeah, so that was crazy.
And then like, how do you, so this is it's a box, literally.
It is a box.
What's the glass? It's like,
plexiglass.
Yeah, because it's like you don't want people to steal.
Yeah, it's shatterproof. It's very well protected, and the material is really high quality. And shout out to the Indie Arts Council, because we got a grant to make it. Without that grant, one, I don't think it would even have happened, but also without it, the materials would not have been so like high quality and protected from the elements and potential people that might want the art for themselves, and that is a common misconception I should probably like address right off the bat, is that the art is not free to take, it is free to view, and if the artist chooses, it can be for sale, but it's not the same as a little free library, which I often compare it to that just for people to get the idea, but it isn't like that in the sense that you can come and take or drop off art. It's not like that. I would say think of it as like an outdoor art museum more than
How are you like picking
exchange.
How are you picking the people or art to go in?
Yeah. So at first we had open applications. And again, shout out to the Indie Arts Council, because with the grant we got from them, we were able to give the first 7 artists $100 for displaying work. So I think that really encouraged people to apply. So we got quite a few applications initially, and then we prioritized people in the neighborhood for that at first. But you know, as it goes on, we're getting close to the 1 year mark, and it's like, okay, well, not everybody in the neighborhood is gonna have like something to contribute. So now we're kind of sourcing like surrounding areas. But yeah, up until this most recent exhibit, it was all just from applications that we got. But the most recent one I kind of sourced because I just really like these artists and I wanted to see their art up close and to work with them. So that was my idea for the 2 we have right now, which is Abby and Amanda Bell. Amanda is an illustrator and Abby is a ceramicist. So since it's a box, there on the inside is the 3D display, and then on all the outside, there are the 2D displays. So
Do you have the address of the box in case someone wants to go see it?
Yes, so
That's a harder question.
Yeah, it is actually a harder question, and we don't have it on Google Maps yet, which is on my to-do list. But it is on the New Jersey Street Esplanade, which is, I didn't know that it was called the Esplanade until like we literally put it there and
like
somebody
a tiny park.
Yeah, basically. But it's like a median, very similar to like Woodruff Place, how they have those medians. That scared her. It's okay. So it's on the north end of the New Jersey Street Esplanade.
And it's a beautiful, bright blue box.
Yeah, it's
very hard to
noticeable.
mix.
Yeah.
Because like when I first came down,
That was intentional.
you were like
Cleaning it probably.
you were cleaning and you were like doing mild landscaping basically.
Yeah.
You had like a shovel or something,
Probably.
or like a little spade or
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, oh, there it is.
There it is.
It's very big and bright, and again like heavy, and like it's very clearly really well made. I think it's like a cool like representation of it's a cool like distillation of what I like about Indianapolis, is one that you can like just do things.
Yeah.
Like you can literally
Yeah.
just do things, but also like there's again like so much, I've said this 100 billion times on this podcast, but like there's so much individual identity in every neighborhood. And like it's a great way to like highlight that, especially since like where we are now, the Lincoln, like you said, the 3 different streets, the Lincoln Community Center, the Esplanade, and then the community garden, just like all in a line is like a great example of just like how different pieces of this neighborhood sort of come together to do a variety of things.
And that's what, whenever we applied for the Indie Arts Council grant, part of what I really wanted to make a case for is like, oh, Fountain Square is this like art mecca of the city, if you will. But we're so close by, and we have a lot of talented people in this neighborhood, but we don't necessarily have like representation of that in the art sense. So I really hope that the Neighbors Gallery is just like a little piece of what's to come, hopefully. And I think it definitely could be, can be, is maybe.
Did you write the grant?
I did.
How'd that go?
Well, it went good because we got it.
I've never written, I don't think I've ever written a grant.
Oh man, I've written so many grants.
My mother-in-law is like a grant writer.
Really?
That's like her,
it can be a whole job. I mean, it can be, it definitely is, yeah. And if you write one, you'll understand why, because it can be exhausting. And with this grant specifically, we also had to have, you know, approval and communication with the Bates Hendricks Neighborhood Association, with Paul Williams, the fabricator and designer, and then with other neighbors too, to make sure, like, even though I live in this neighborhood and I want it, do other people want this to happen? You know, like, you gotta double check on that. So
aren't you on the neighborhood council or neighborhood?
No, I'm not.
No, really?
I worked heavily with the association though for the Bates Hendricks Street Fest last year. So I nearly felt like I was on that, but no. So I had to coordinate with them and just so many people to like make sure that this was something we could do, wanted to do, should do, all of that. So that made that grant specifically a little more complex. Usually the grants I'm writing are like purely for myself. So.
Can you hold up your corn mug?
Yeah.
So Savannah, just for the listeners, Savannah is holding a mug that she created.
I did.
And it looks like a corn cob with a small husk over it. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Savannah makes some of the most beautiful ceramics that I've seen.
Oh.
No, seriously. But you also are like a freak.
I do. So I like fun ceramics. You know. Keep it light.
What I mean by freak is like you go to, like between the months of February and the months.
Oh
of
yeah, that way. Yeah.
November,
Absolutely
maybe like the early December, you go to every single art show known to man under the sun that is within a 100-mile radius.
Damn near. Yeah. Especially less so now, but especially my first 2 years because I was really trying to figure out like what works for me, where is like my audience, and that was some crazy volume of events that I did then.
And you like recently published. Do you remember any numbers of like your last year?
Yeah,
stuff?
So I really cut down on the shows. I only did 22 last year.
Only like half
shows.
the year.
Yeah. 22 shows, 1,500 pots.
1,500.
Yeah. And I've
Is that
already
1,500 sold or is that just made?
just made.
Okay.
Yeah, and just thrown on the wheel. So, and then there is, a failure rate too that I'm not like calculating into that. Like not all 1,500 of those even got to like the final stage. Those are just what I threw. So
I see.
I'd take out at least like 100 from that probably.
And you're also, again, to pay you compliment, you're doing this in like what is effectively a broom closet.
Yeah,
I have been
it's
to
a
your
spare
house.
bedroom, yeah. Which,
so it's very impressive.
You can do a lot with a small space, and I've seen people do more with less. So I feel really grateful to have that space. We can talk about this separately later, but I'm hoping to have a bigger space soon.
Yo.
Yeah, hoping. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Wait,
see what
it's not
happens.
the place down on Shelby, no?
Maybe.
Okay. Dang, I'm good.
I don't want to say anything just in case it doesn't happen, you know? I'm really hopeful, but...
No jinxing?
Yeah, I don't want to jinx myself. And it's okay if it doesn't, because like I said, I am comfy in my space now, but I would love a greater connection to community, because I am like totally alone, other than my husband and my dogs, and I'm like, sometimes I want to talk to somebody during the day.
That's one of the reasons I really enjoy ceramics personally, and I've said that before. It's
Yeah.
like, just because you are so stuck with your dirty hands, except you're not, because you answer the phone
Yeah.
even when your hands are dirty.
Me and Alexa both, we're psychos like that. I just don't care.
But like sitting down and being forced to like interface with somebody else, even though you probably need to get your work done, it's good to like lock in a little bit. But
Yeah.
like sometimes it's good to like have a
nice.
chit chat.
And that's why I listen to so many podcasts.
Because you feel like you're in the conversation.
Yeah, pretty much.
I forgot to mention that you are a regular podcast
I'm
listener,
an
although
avid
you've fallen
I've
off.
been slacking because I have a goal for like how many books I want to listen to and read. So I've been really into audiobooks more than
What are you
podcasts
reading
lately.
right
But it's embarrassing.
Is it Heated Rivalry? It's not that embarrassing.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
I have
right
a
now.
story. So my sister-in-law, love her to death. She is like the kindest, most wonderful human on earth. Every time we get together, I'm like, Lily, what hockey smut are you reading now? I was like, have you read Heated Rivalry? She goes, no, I haven't read that one yet.
Oh,
so
wow.
she has read.
She had some exciting
has
things
read, she has read
to experience soon. Yeah.
lots of hockey smut, but not.
Specifically, I didn't know there was like that whole genre. I knew about the series. I didn't know there was a whole genre of that specifically.
There is a giant subgenre of just
wild.
like hockey smut. But yeah, to each their own.
You know what? It makes sense. It makes sense why.
I mean, there's like big burly dudes, and
Yeah.
they're in a heated rivalry. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I got off track. Oh, nope, I've lost it. Well,
Sorry to totally derail.
No, I wanted to talk about like art shows, because like
Yeah.
I have gone to a couple just as a result of existing
Feast
in
of
Indianapolis.
Lanterns. Got to see you there.
Do you think of Feast of Lanterns as an art festival? For you it is, because you're like selling there, but
in a way. I think of it as a neighborhood art festival. Yeah.
To me, Feast of Lanterns is like the most beautiful example of like
Community.
a neighborhood community event.
It's amazing.
But when you talk about art shows,
There's art and craft shows. And then there's neighborhood shows. There's all different. Different ways you can like define
between these.
A little bit, yeah.
Share.
So art shows are much more strict and particular, and you're definitely going to get an audience of like collectors more than not. And then craft shows are less fine art heavy. The applications are often very different depending on the show. And yeah, it's just a whole different vibe, a whole different audience. And then neighborhood shows and craft shows kind of overlap, I would say, because neighborhood shows are never like fine art shows, but they just bring a different audience because they're obviously bringing in neighbors and not always just neighbors, but it is more of that like honed in vibe. Like when I do the Bates Hendricks Street Fest, like that's a lot of neighbors. It's more of a local laid back feel, much less pressure too, because it's typically not as expensive to do. Like the Bates Hendricks Street Fest, it costs less than $100 to do, but then I'll do some fine art shows that are over $400 to do, and it's like there's a differentiation there, you know, like you're kind of paying for something totally a different experience in that way. But it does get really tricky, especially when I'm trying to like sum up, like I just say shows. Like I'm like, I did 22 shows because I did art shows, craft shows, neighborhood, like all pop-ups, like all these things.
Yeah.
So I just define it as shows. But yeah, you can get real specific if you want to.
And when you look at those, like what do you, because you brought those up as like microcosms of community for yourself. What about them is so that for you? So
community?
Yeah.
Well, the vendors, we have our own little vendor community.
How much overlap is there between, like, are you like always, obviously you see Alexa at every single one of these.
Not every time, but yeah, there is overlap where you see the same people pretty frequently. But at this point, I'm kind of leaning more into like fine art shows, and sometimes that requires travel where I'll see like almost no one I know, or at least like the people like right next to me I don't know, which is always kind of cool because typically people in the arts and crafts community are very, Mars is excited, are very welcoming, and they want to be friends. Like you have this commonality, so they're immediately like, oh, we're a part of the same community? Cool, let's be friends right away, which is awesome. So you have that community off the bat, and then you have the community that comes to you, that like the attendees, which is really cool. And then you have the community of your own specific craft. So like ceramics community is a whole thing in itself. And I'll go to art shows and we'll specifically like seek out the other ceramics vendors to be like, hey, what's up? Like, yeah.
Do you like go, oh my God, like look at that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I've done that. I've done that when I was
for sure
more regularly creating ceramics. Like I would go to like small, like I recall the most recent one was like 2023 or early 2024, like a winter art show.
Okay.
And like walking up to some random ceramics person and being like, holy shit, like your stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, it also being like, I have no idea how you did this because I am bad.
That's the best. That's the best part of like the ceramics community is really typically most people, I haven't really encountered anybody that like isn't like this, but most ceramicists are like, yeah, let me tell you everything about it, how I did it. Like, let's chat about this. Like, they're not very gatekeepy in my experience. I certainly am not. Like, you want to know how I made this corn mug? I will tell you in detail, but like, good luck replicating it, you know? It's kind of with that.
You're hand carving that, right? You're just like...
Yeah, so I throw it on the wheel, but yeah, everything I do is wheel thrown and then hand painted and hand carved, which is time consuming.
Which, I just like your output is crazy for how much...
Yeah, yeah. I know, but like, I really love it, and if I ever don't love it, I'll do less, but until I get there, I'm probably just gonna do more. It's like insane as that sounds.
Can you speak to the haters for me on behalf of all artists? Can you tell the people why that mug costs what it costs?
Oh, Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I know that it's a very common thing that happens is you walk up to a table and you go, oh my God, this costs so much.
Yeah, and I will say that is also a differentiation of craft art neighborhood shows, depending on where you are, you know, like at a fine art show, most people won't really blink an eye at a $60 mug, and that's how much this mug would cost. But at a neighborhood show, people might be like, what the hell, why is that $60? And it's $60 because it's taken me like almost 7 years to be able to do this, like as efficiently as I can. And yeah, and then cost of materials, cost of time, so many factors to make it $60.
One thing that came up very early in my ceramics learning was the cost of running the kiln.
Yeah.
Because most people run, even if you don't run an electric kiln, but if you do run an electric kiln, there is a cost to electricity and to heat up a small space like that to the heat that it needs to reach is very expensive.
Yeah.
And do you have an electric kiln?
I do have an electric kiln.
Do you have an estimate for how much it costs you to run?
I do.
Each
and
time?
maybe not as much as you think. I think last time I checked, which was early last year, it cost me about $20 per firing.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not. It's not terrible. It does add up. And then kiln maintenance, and the kiln itself is thousands of dollars. Kiln maintenance can be hundreds depending on what you have to fix. And then if you have to hire somebody to do it, I try to do it myself as much as I can, but it can get really pricey.
Yeah.
Definitely the most expensive thing about this is my time, for sure. But yeah, I think it's about $20, and this takes 2 firings, so $40. And obviously I can fit like quite a few pieces into that. But yeah, it's maybe not as much as you thought, but still a decent amount. And we have solar, so that helps too. I try to like fire it if I can when our solar is like at its peak, but
cool.
That doesn't always happen, but try to time it right. Yeah, for the first year that I had my kiln, I would wake up in the middle of the night just like terrified that our garage was on fire. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm so scared.
I used to run the ceramics at my summer camp.
Oh, I worked at a summer camp as a ceramics teacher. I was also terrified of that burning down.
I definitely did stuff that was not safe, just very regularly, which is true of my entire summer camp experience. But you know what?
That's what summer camp's for. You're just
still here,
wild and out. Yeah.
Another reason you reached out to me originally, if I recall correctly, is because you live in Bates Hendricks.
Yeah.
And this is not like a popular neighborhood.
Not
necessarily. At least in the wider sense.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about why you connect so deeply with Bates Hendricks? And for those who don't know, specifically my mother, because every time we bring up every time I bring up a neighborhood, she's like, "Where is that?"
Yeah. I know.
So it's sort of like Bates Hendricks is, if you think of the Indianapolis as a circle, I think of Indianapolis like a steering wheel. Whereas the circle of the steering wheel is the 465 loop, basically going around it.
Okay.
And then this is so hard to explain without like a map, but we are on just under the cross shaft of the steering wheel. I don't know how to say this in an effective way. Is that true? Am I making that up?
I'm really bad with directions, but a very easier way to say it is we're right next to Fountain Square. And Garfield Park is also adjacent to us.
It's kind of south-ish.
Yeah.
So like Garfield Park is southeast and Fountain Square is directly east.
So I always tell people that like by living in Bates Hendricks, you get it all. You get Fountain Square, Bates Hendricks, and Garfield Park all at your disposal. But I think Bates Hendricks isn't as well known just because we're not Fountain Square and we're not Garfield Park, and we don't have like all these cool stores and shops and art things. And I don't know if that's like good or bad necessarily. I love it for other reasons, for the community and neighbors that are here. And we do have cool stuff like this coffee shop and things, but I don't know if we need to be like either of them to get that notoriety or recognized in that way, just because we help them thrive by being adjacent. We support those communities as well. But I love Bates Hendricks because I moved to Indy in 2017 to go to Heron School of Art. And every single year I was in school, I moved. I moved to a different apartment, a different house. I never like settled. There was never like Mars. There was never like anywhere that I really felt truly like this is like home. But then when I met my partner, he already lived in Bates Hendricks, and I moved in with him, and I was like, wow, I actually feel like I could stay here. It was the first time I was like, this is a true like community that I feel like I could be a part of in an impactful way. And that was almost 5 years ago now, and yeah, still feel that way. I feel more that way now. Like every year that goes by, I'm like, I love this community like so much.
When you say you could be here in an impactful way, like what can you explain what you mean by that at all?
Yeah, like the Neighbors Gallery. Like I just felt like there's so much opportunity to do things here that aren't already being done, you know? Like in Fountain Square. And I feel that way about Indy as a whole, honestly. When people are like, oh, well, why do you like Indy? And I'm like, because it's growing, and you can be a part of that growth in like a way that you couldn't be a part of in like Chicago or somewhere. Like that's already so established, but like our art scene is just getting started. And as an artist myself, I'm like, wow, I can actually like help shape that, because it is like at the infant stage in a lot of ways. And I feel that way about Bates Hendricks too. Like this could be a really awesome neighborhood, and it already is in so many ways, but we can put our own like impact on it in a really direct way because it is so fresh and like new still.
Mm-hmm. Do you think about what improvements could come to this part of town?
Yes, of course.
What are you looking for?
On a really like basic level, we need better storm drains. We need a better bike lane. There's just stuff like that. We have a really cool park though on my street, on Ringgold Street. That's awesome, and that's great. And I've been kind of collaborating with people in the neighborhood with like planting more natives there and stuff. I would love to see more natives in our neighborhood. That could definitely be better. We have some invasive species that could definitely go. But that's just on like my personal level. Definitely the storm drains would be right off the alleyways. We're getting into infrastructure now, but like, oh my gosh.
Has issues with their alleyways.
Yeah, alleyways need some fixing. That's not so easy to do.
I live in Broad Ripple.
Yes.
And fortunately, Broad Ripple is adjacent to Meridian Kessler. Mm-hmm. And and I say fortunately primarily because of like the quality of the infrastructure. While still bad, it is not nearly as bad as some other places in the city.
Yeah.
And it's funny to like see people in Meridian Kessler like complain. Like I see that pretty regularly.
You're like, please.
And I'm just like, do you like leave your neighborhood?
Yeah.
It's like, have you looked around?
Like, come on over here. You check this out, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself. Yeah.
And so, like, on the topic of like alleyways and things like that, it's like some of these, especially like if you go to Hawville, like some of those alleyways look like there was a bomb set off under the concrete.
Yeah, and I mean here we have like neighbors themselves buying gravel and stuff and doing it themselves because it's like literally that bad where they're like, my car is getting destroyed if I don't like buy a load of gravel right now. Mm-hmm. So that's not great, but.
Mars, you want like a smooth ride.
Yeah.
Right, Mars? You don't say anything.
She's like,
the only person you barked at was a child.
Yeah.
Because you're a bully.
They're her own size. She's like, I gotta stand my ground, let them know I am the only small thing here. But yeah, there's always improvements to be made, and like all those things I listed, I'm sure those could also be applied to like the city as a whole, and that would be amazing. But I know we have monthly neighborhood association meetings here that like any neighbors can come to, and people complain about these things and they're like, yeah, how can we change it? And sometimes we have like council members come and they kind of explain why it's almost impossible to change it just because of like how things are set up, and that's really frustrating and discouraging.
Do you know who your council member is?
Ours is Kristen Jones.
I think I know that name.
And I know that because my partner worked really hard for about a year to get our street parking to be on one side because it's on like both sides right now and our street's really narrow and mirrors get knocked off all the time. And so we tried to work with her to get that done, but it didn't happen. So
that's funny. On 16th Street, so 16th Street is in most cases a 4-lane street. I think that's true. And at the Monon crosses 16th Street, and so they, Jesse Brown and VOP both worked with their neighborhoods to get to allow people to park on the outer lanes to make cars like go into the 2 middle lanes, so that where it crosses the Monon, it makes the crossing thinner.
Yes. Okay.
Because that Monon crossing is super sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of biking in Indy, and I mean, you know this, of course, but a lot of biking can be really scary. And I like to ride my bike, so that's great that they could do that.
Yeah. Where do you ride?
A lot on the cultural trail, because right behind our house, we live right kind of in we're in Bates Hendricks, but we are on the border of Fountain Square, so we can get on the cultural trail super easy, or we could. They're doing a lot of construction right now.
They sure are.
Which is not going to be so easy come summer.
I went to Alpha Moon for the first time the other day.
Yeah, good luck getting there.
I walked through the
really
giant
bad for
construction.
those businesses. Please, if you're listening, go support those businesses on Shelby, because I know they're suffering.
There was a lot of people playing Magic in Alpha Moon.
Okay, good. Glad to hear that. Yeah. But yeah, so I bike the cultural trail a lot, and then that obviously connects to the Monon. Pleasant Run is also behind my house, which if I get this cool studio space I really want, I'll be able to bike there so easily, which I'm really excited about, because then I'm like, a big perk of working at home is I don't spend any money on commuting or time on commuting, and
or at an art space.
Right, I don't spend money on either of those things, so you know.
Do you are you looking for an art space? Sorry to pivot back, but are you looking for an art space just because you feel cramped, or are you wanting to get? It's almost like I've worked remote basically my entire adult life, and I now see the value of having an office. You mentioned having social stuff, but I think also the value of having an office is having a distinct physical separation between work and home.
Yeah, of course you feel that way. But
what do you mean?
I mean, well, with the third space, and the definition of it is separate from work and home. But you already have work and home here in one space, so it's almost even worse. You're almost only getting a second space, because you already have that combination. But yeah, I think I'll be comfortable in my home space for at least another year. But if I ever want to hire an assistant, which I do at some point, I really need that to be outside of my home, just because logistical reasons, space reasons. So that's a factor. And then just, the connection to community, being able to invite people into my space too. Obviously you came over and checked out my studio, but it's not where I can have people oh, you want to come and buy something? Just pop over to my studio and check it out, because then you have to come through my whole house. It's just not set up like that, and it's not set up like a store, because there isn't any space for that. It's all just workspace. Yeah. So I'm interested in what opportunities a bigger space could give me that way. And then it'd be really cool to have my kiln with me. Right now, I have that spare bedroom, and my kiln is in the garage. So I have to carry all my pots in and out of there every single time, which sometimes can be 3 to 4 trips. Because
you need to fight through Mars.
Yeah, and she wants to go in and out of so there's a lot of reasons that it would be nice, but yeah, I'm not necessarily I don't have to do that yet. I just want to, but there will come a time when it's okay, you kind of have to do this if you want your business to grow. So that's where we're at right now.
That's cool.
Yeah. I saw somebody say you should wait until you absolutely have to, until you fully outgrow your space to move. Don't move prematurely. And I don't feel it's premature, but I think it would be right on time right now. So.
How long have you been thinking about that?
Since this time last year. So, and just started talking about it, and I was okay, I'm waiting for just the right space. And honestly, I was waiting for the space I'm interested in now to become available since last year. So, really hope it works
whispers?
out. Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's, even if I'm not in that space, it's going to be an amazing just resource for the whole community. So I'm happy about it either way. But
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what to talk about. Do you have anything else to bring up? Or what are you thinking about?
What am I thinking about?
There's a lot of things you could be thinking about.
Yeah.
Heated rivalry.
Yeah. That's been a really good distraction from all of the political turmoil. I know you know this, but I am pretty political online and pretty in tune with that, and it can be really heavy and exhausting and hard not to consume your whole mental space. But I do think art is a great form of resistance, and it's what I personally feel I have to do to get through this. So
I would say that your online persona is much stronger than your in person, because in person you're pretty reserved.
Yeah, you think so? Okay. I don't know if that's
or maybe
good or bad.
maybe that's
I feel about that.
maybe that's a comfort thing where it's once you get closer to somebody, you're
chill. Yeah.
Fight them.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm thinking a lot about that. I'm, thinking about we're at the beginning of the year right now. So thinking a lot about what's going to happen throughout the year as far as like business and things go. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking about.
Amazing. Let's move on to the canned question. This always brings up good conversation anyways, so I'm excited. Hey, Third Space Indy is sponsored by cityrising.org. Mark Lotta has decided... I'm gonna wait. Mark Lotta has decided to sponsor the podcast. Let me find my blurb.
Oh, which if I'm right, his partner is Martha.
Martha.
Right? Yeah, and she is who has done an amazing job with Feast of Lanterns, with making it what it is. So shout out to her too.
Yeah, Martha Lotta. I am interested in having her on the podcast.
We should.
I asked her about it. She goes, "I will not advertise Feast of Lanterns because she goes too many people.
I take that back.
She goes, too many people show up to it." And I said, "Okay, let's talk about the other stuff around it."
Okay.
I was like, I want to talk about like the bureaucracy.
Sorry, Martha.
I think talking about like the bureaucracy of running a neighborhood event would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because my wife and I like talked for 45 minutes about getting like permits.
Yeah. Well, there's probably people here right now you can talk to about that with the Bates Hendricks one, but okay, sorry.
No, we're back. City Rising is a social impact studio that leads and supports innovative projects that strengthen, celebrate, and repair people and places. If you're a people, or you're the leader of a place or an organization that's interested in improving your lived or built environment, reach out to me, reach out to City Rising or Mark Lotta, and we'll get you hooked up with some stuff that will improve those things. We did it.
Nice.
Mark has sponsored a question. Mark has sponsored a question on the podcast, which is, what is a third place to you?
Third place to me, I think I align pretty heavily with the definition you gave at the beginning, a place that isn't work or home. But I kind of have a caveat to that to add. Like, I do think the best third spaces, not that this is like a requirement, but I do think it makes it better if it's free or at least very low cost to enter. Yeah.
Any specifics that pop into your mind?
Of like
places that you like.
I mean, I love this place. I love
How
Lincoln
often do
Lane.
you come in here?
It depends on the time of year, how busy I am. I was in here last week, and I'll be in here next week, and I'm in here right now. So it just depends on like what's going on. And I use it a lot as kind of like an out-of-home like office in a lot of ways. Like I'll come here if I need to do computer work or something of that sort. They have a laundromat here, which I don't use, but I know a lot of people do, and that's awesome too. So
it's pretty cheap. It's like
and it is
$1.50.
cheap, yeah. Like even though you come here and you're kind of like expected to buy a coffee, it's still like a low cost entry. And to me, that's what makes the best third space. So
amazing.
Yeah.
An extension of that question, Mars.
She said, "Hey."
Who are you looking at, Mars? An extension of that question, what is a third place that has existed for you previously, that no longer does?
I've thought about this question a lot because I knew it was coming. So I have two answers, and one is indie and one is from my childhood. And the one in indie is offensive art. I don't know.
Offensive?
A fence of art.
A fence of art.
Yeah, it's kind of a double.
Yeah.
But it used to be in the Wildwood parking lot, and it happened, I don't know if it was every weekend or like every other weekend or something, but it was $5 to vend there. It was just local artists. You just set up your booth there, and it was just a really cool like thing that doesn't exist now, and neither does Wildwood, which is kind of sad.
Who like
organized it?
Well, more like, what was the art that was there, or was it just like a little pop-up thing?
It was definitely just a little pop-up thing. So, and that was like one of the first shows I ever did. So, nothing like too fancy or pretentious or anything like that. Just very low-key art, more crafty stuff too.
Yeah.
And anybody could do it. So it didn't, obviously art encouraged, but like there'd be anybody there. So
when you were getting started, because you just said this was one of the first shows you did, like when you were getting started, was it terrifying to like go to an art show and be like, here's my stuff?
Yeah, it was at first too. And just
like you look like Mars and you're like,
oh God, what's happening? It's also intimidating, just with different shows too. Like the bigger shows I do, the more nervous it kind of is if you haven't done that before and you don't know like what's expected or like what other people are gonna like be displaying or how cool their displays are, and you can kind of feel insecure at first, but the longer you do it and the more people you talk to, it's like, oh, nobody here cares. They just want all of us to like do well and succeed. And it's like, there's nothing to worry about. Like, you're gonna get there one way or the other. So like, yeah, at first I was definitely nervous, but now I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's no big deal.
Just like show up.
Yeah. But my second one, and this is my childhood one. So I grew up in Southern Indiana, and my grandparents. Nobody's gonna know this.
Yeah, that's not true. There's some freaks.
Yeah. Okay. Owensburg, which is the only.
I don't know that, but somebody will.
No, somebody might. Owensburg, and the only reason that you might know it is because it is right outside of the Crane Navy base. Yes, we have a Navy base in Southern Indiana. Which, if you lived in that area, probably at least somebody you know, if not all of your family, is going to work there because there's nowhere else to work. So that's where I grew up, all woods. We didn't even have like neighbors or anything. And my grandparents owned a junkyard. And as kids, we were just set free there.
Wait, that's
we
awesome.
could just do whatever
that doesn't sound safe,
but
I love it.
Not safe at all. Somehow we never got hurt though.
No tetanus?
Yeah, we were like required to get our tetanus shots every year. My mom made sure of it. But we had 4-wheelers and we just like ride through the junkyard and jump across all like the car hoods, and it was just
that sounds
a
sick.
really magical place, honestly. And it's still there, but you know, it's not there in the sense that it was there when I was a kid, where it's like, oh, this is
You're not
like
like going
the
to hang
coolest
out
place
there.
Yeah, not gonna hang out there.
How old were you when you stopped hanging out there?
Honestly, high school. Like we still like I rode 4-wheelers and stuff through there like all through high school, but then probably my senior year I became like less interested in that. Probably.
In junk?
Yeah, in junk.
I see. That's kind of funny. Like, I feel like, remember I talked to you before we started recording about like getting into more
pretentious art.
You could call that pretentious art or like artsy.
No,
I was gonna say artsy fartsy, but like it would be interesting for you to incorporate like junk into
really
ceramics in some way.
Yeah.
Or just like have that highlight of your like early childhood. I think that'd be interesting.
I'll have to send you a picture of this, but so my dad, all my family kind of has like a craftsman or like artsy capabilities, even if they're not like utilizing it in a really obvious way. But for Christmas, my dad welded a bird for me made out of silverware, and then he also welded a massive Pokemon statue out of just like scrap metal for my husband. And I was like, what the heck, Dad? You just popped off and made this out of like scraps? And he was like, oh yeah, I just felt like it. Like,
he's like, I was feeling
it. And we're like, oh, could you do like something else like this? And he was like, no, I'm not doing that ever again.
That's funny.
But yeah, so my family does stuff in that like realm of like repurposing things. So
do you have a specific memory of the junkyard that like pops out at you?
Yeah. So in high school, and this is not like a cozy good memory necessarily, but one of my high school friends and I, we were like out there and we found this crowbar. This is like so random. We found this crowbar in one of the cars, and just being like high schoolers, like mischievous like assholes, we busted out some windshields of the cars, and I guess one of them was one that my grandpa really cared about, and I got in big trouble about it. And it wasn't even like the kind of trouble where it's like, oh, this is your punishment. It was like, I'm disappointed in you, which was rough, especially for my grandpa, because he never got like that out with me. And I was like, damn.
There's what's the quote about like the fear the rage of a silent man or whatever, something like that type of thing. I remember working at at my summer camp, and I am not an angry person at all.
Oh no.
In fact, working at summer camp, like
the summer camp kids, they'll bring that out of you.
I was annoyingly happy all the time. But I remember, so we used to do a canoe trip on the Ohio River. We'd drive up in our camp bus a little further up the river, ride down, and then hike back afterwards.
Nice.
So it'd be like a full day thing. And I just remember there was a storm that was coming once.
Oh no.
And we were like, we have to get off this river or we are just gonna get like, it was
on
just
the river
like
as it's coming. Oh man.
And I have these campers, so everyone's rushing. Everyone is like paddling.
Freaking out.
But there's these campers who I consider good campers. I know who they are. I'm not gonna name them. and they were just like dilly-dallying, and they were excellent campers. And I was like, you were messing around. I like looked at them and I was like, you need to paddle right now, in a much angrier voice than this.
And they're like, oh man.
And I think just something about my tone like scared them.
They were like,
and they like immediately got to the front of the pack. They were like sent it, and I was like, and they were like Zarick. Like everyone calls me by my last name. They're like, Zarick, I've never heard you that mad in my life. I was so afraid. I was like, I think we made it. Like we were not like rained on or anything, but it was,
you got to know when to leverage.
I was like, no, I just like don't really get mad, but it's like in this moment, it's like I need you to move, please.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But yeah, it was so bad that like, I still remember that over a decade later of just like my grandpa's disappointment.
Is he still alive?
No, he isn't. He died a few years ago, but the junkyard's still there. There's a lot of cool old cars in it. Yeah, honestly, I'd like to go back and like check it out and see if it's like exactly how I remember. Probably is. Nothing's moved. So.
Oh, so you mentioned what was the name of your town? Sorry.
Owensburg.
Owensburg?
Yeah, we got a stoplight and nothing else.
So at Monon Coffee, there's these old guys who like talk to each other.
Of course.
They're there like every day. But one of them was telling a story about growing up in Alert, Indiana. Did you know there's a town in Indiana called Alert?
Did not.
And he was saying that before Alert was named Alert, it was named Dogtown.
Oh, okay.
And so this was like 100 years ago.
Okay.
So it was called Dogtown. And apparently like the postmaster or something like that was like, or the mayor or whatever, I don't know, was like, he's like, we need to rename the town. Everyone in this town's pretty alert. And so they like changed the name from Dogtown to Alert, Indiana. And this is like 100 years ago. Like, and there's no document. I've like looked at it on Wikipedia. Like, there's no documentation. And then apparently this is just like
rumor, like lore of the town.
Well, this is a guy who grew up there who I guess just heard it like through the grapevine. Dang. So it's either just like small town lore or like made up.
Totally made up fiction. Wow.
But who has ever thought about Alert, Indiana?
Yeah, not me. Didn't even know it existed. But.
All right, this question is from the previous guest, Keon Michael Brown.
Nice.
Not Michael Keon Brown, as I called him to his face.
Oh no.
In the intro, but you know, whatever.
Did he immediately correct you?
Well, I introduced him as Michael Keon Brown, and then I said,
no.
I was like, Michael, and I paused and I was like, that doesn't sound right. And he looked at me and goes, no.
I was like, come on, dude. Damn.
His name is Keon. His question is, what is something others view, other people, maybe they know you, maybe they don't, view as a small part of you, but is actually just a huge part of who you are as a person?
Wow.
So the answer I gave is actually being a summer camp counselor. I don't think I share that as much now as I did 10 years ago, but actually like it's a massive part of who I am.
It's interesting. Okay. A small part of me that is actually like really important to me.
Yeah, other people maybe perceive it as like really minor.
It's not like a big deal. Okay. I don't know if people even like perceive this of me or like even really know this about me, but I really enjoy like the way that I counteract any like political turmoil feeling of like restlessness within myself is I just take a clay bag and I go outside and I pick up trash. And I know people are probably like, oh, that's nice, like that's a good thing to do or whatever, but it's actually like super important to me. It's important to me for like the full kind of like full circle of doing ceramics is like then you have this plastic bag left over, and I think it's just really important to respect one that this clay is coming from the earth. So like how can you give back to the earth rather than just taking from it? And in a small way, like that's what I do, but it is just like super important to me that happens, and I try to do some sustainable things in like other parts of my life where I can, like bring your own cup. Seems really small, but it's definitely like a core value of mine, like sustainability, especially in my business, like how sustainable and just low waste, low impact can we do this?
Oh, I was looking for licks.
She was like, nah. But that has gotten harder because I used to do it when I would walk my dogs, and I just had 2 dogs. And now that I got Mars, it's a little harder to carry the trash picking upper and my 3
You're
dogs.
You're just like a little plastic bag drifting through the wind.
Yeah.
Right, Mars.
That's a good question.
When you talk about like, I think that's really nice, like the cyclical nature of pottery.
Yeah. And it gives you time to think about that too. When you're like picking up trash, you're like, you really start thinking about just like all these little things. It gives you time to like process. Highly recommend.
Who do you get your clay from?
I get my clay from either Amico or Kentucky Clay Mudworks. Shout out to Amico because it's right here in Indianapolis, which is super awesome. Feel very privileged to have that right here. A lot of ceramicists don't have a clay place like that so close by and have to order it, which I do order from Kentucky Clay. Shout out to Alexa for always letting me jump on her order. So yeah, either those 2 places, which are both pretty local. But I don't entirely know like where they source that clay from. Like I know it's a dry mix usually that they are mixing up and producing themselves, but I don't know like what mine or like where they're getting that from necessarily, which might be good to find out now that I'm thinking of it.
I remember one of the most mind-blowing things of my entire life. I still think about this. So at IU Bloomington, they have a ceramics program.
Yeah, they do. A good one now.
It's actually now? What do you mean now?
Well,
was it bad before?
Not necessarily bad, but Heron School of Art is part of IU, and that used to be like known as like, oh, this is like the good art school to go to. But now IU Bloomington has really like kicked up their art program a lot in the past couple of years, to the point where I'm kind of like, man, if I was like going back to school now, like IU Bloomington is pretty appealing.
It was impressive to me when I was there in 2016. So
it's probably even more so now. But
so there was another ceramic student. His name was Michael also.
Of course.
Huge pothead. But I guess
that
makes sense because, that's true. I was like a ceramic student that smokes weed.
I'm not the first person to make that joke either, yeah.
A ceramic
Wait, I
student
think I remember you talking about him on a previous episode.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But this is somebody who I never hung out with ever.
You just know of him?
I just knew him and I saw him regularly. And I just knew he was a ceramic student, and he took me into the ceramic studio once.
Oh, nice.
And so he had an impact on me.
Cool.
But he just like seeing the ceramic studio, because you talk about dry mix. They had all of these different bags of different types of mix.
Yeah.
And that was so mind blowing to me of like, oh my God, you can like, I was like, you can have different types of clay. Like it didn't even make sense to me. Like or like he talked about like making their own glazes, and I was like, what? Like you can do that? I just
make
remember,
all my own glazes, so I have a lot of dry mix for that. But yeah.
So do you do like ratios and stuff?
Yeah. I wish I paid more attention in chemistry class in high school. I was like, I'm going to be an artist. Who cares about this? And I care now.
And you're like, that's what the assistant's for.
Yeah, I'm like, damn it. Measuring it out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really wish I knew more about this.
I think I would have been an excellent chemist, but I'm going to call him out by name. Mark.
Oh no.
High school chemistry teacher.
Uh-oh.
Total dick.
Oh wow. And you must have been real bad because you have no qualms about saying so. What if he listens to this?
I do not care. I just like genuinely like, I thought chemistry was so cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like, at its face, like chemistry is the dopest science because you like, I'm thinking like Bill Nye the Science Guy, like pouring stuff in this stuff. Chemistry is really boring, like because there's a lot of math.
Yeah.
But, and maybe it's not Mark Amick's fault. I'm doing this reflection right now.
You're like,
But also like when chemistry was probably one of the sciences I was most excited to take in high school. The first time I took it was then.
You just didn't foster
he is
that
just
love.
not a nice person.
That sucks.
And like when I don't even want to say I was struggling. It's just like when you have questions, he treats you like a fool. It's like.
That's not okay, especially in high school.
Anyways, I feel like in a different life, I'm wearing a lab coat somewhere. That's
if only that high school teacher could have been better. But and I will say I do the very like most basic math and chemistry for these glazes. Like I'm not doing anything too complicated because the skill isn't there. It's just not.
Do you ever like are there like, this is gonna sound so goofy, but are there like, so if you were to want to make like lasagna, you would go to Google and type lasagna recipe. Are there like
Yes, glaze recipes.
There's
Yeah,
glaze recipes.
there's a whole app called Glazy, and it's all glaze recipes. Really helpful. And then potters amongst themselves will like share recipes,
Oh,
just like a
fun.
cookbook, basically. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of that type of stuff that you don't even think about.
Yeah, but then like minerals and things will be depleted or like really hard to access, and that'll like screw up your whole like everything, and it can be a really big problem. Even just a slight change in material can really mess things up. I haven't had that happen in a while just because my glazes are so simple, but for people making complex glazes, there's, especially during COVID, it was like hard to get certain things, and certain things were not like accessible at all anymore. And yeah, so that's a whole other situation, but you don't care, Mars. You don't care. You're just a
Mars, when are you getting a
a
job?
long dog. You need to support yourself.
One last question, Savannah. What question would you like to ask the next Third Space Indy guest?
I'm so excited for this. I've been thinking about it. I would like to ask, what is your favorite way to experience art in Indianapolis? So think like First Fridays, Newfields, murals. I know you just had on like a DJ. Do you like to experience art that way? Like, what's your favorite way to experience it, specifically here in the city?
I think the next guest will answer that well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you have an answer? Or do you wait till then to answer?
No, I can answer. Give me a moment.
I know that's the thing about these questions. Like, damn, I have to answer like
Well,
right
for
here, right
me,
now.
like, this is gonna sound so silly. So let me recontextualize my life for you. I do this podcast about third spaces, and I don't think I have like a good personal third space. Like, people ask me like, what's your favorite third space? Like, first of all,
You're like the
whatever
boss.
answer I give you is not going to be good for you. Like, that's not.
Yeah, it's,
And second of all, like, in a lot of ways, like, this podcast is what I do to
cultivate that.
connect with people. But I don't have like a consistent space that I feel like comfortable going to, other than I will say like going to Thieves in
nice.
Broad Ripple. I go there for coffee. I do not go there for I've gone there for cocktails one time.
Oh, they have both. Okay, I've never been there.
Yeah, it's a coffee shop to me, and I really enjoy going in and talking to the staff in the morning,
Nice.
because like I work for a West Coast company,
Oh, okay.
and I don't have like meetings before 11 like ever.
I was going to say, so you're on West Coast time.
I just like go in for like 2 hours in the morning, just talk to baristas. They're probably, and I think they're thankful because it's not super busy, so I'm just like there to distract them. All that said, how do I like to experience art? I think is an interesting question for me, because again, through this podcast, like I have like, I love variety, and I just love absorbing as much as I can. So like my very first podcast was with Megan Jefferson, who's a muralist.
Yes. That's how I was introduced to you. Yeah.
That's right.
Because I think it's her husband, was my ceramics teacher in college at Heron School of Art. So.
But then also like I love ceramics like a lot.
Yeah.
I think ceramics is incredible, and my best answer to your question is just, and I think this is true of many things in my life, is just as natural as possible.
I like that.
In whatever way it appears before me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
Sweet.
let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Mars, you're so funny.
She's such a goofy dog.
Savannah, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Third Space Indy. Can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes. I'm most active on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Sav, SAVIJJACOB. And then
There's an I in there?
Yeah, there is, which kind of throws people off.
I didn't even know
There's like, it's the I and then 2 J's, so like 3 dots. And then the Neighbors Gallery, let me make sure I get like the name, because the name of the Neighbors Gallery Instagram is kind of long. Neighbors Gallery Bates Hendricks. And that's where you can find all the details about the Neighbors Gallery. So yeah, you can find me there. You can find me at savjart.com. You can find me at your local festival.
Oh, a quick aside. Did you, at the Louisville art show, that I was texting you during?
Yes.
Did you end up going to a restaurant?
I didn't.
Okay, that's fine.
I did. I love the Melwood Event Center though, and that antique mall attached to it is amazing.
Yeah, you can get lost in there. It's just like the one here.
You literally, yeah.
What's the one here called?
Midland.
Midland. It's just like Midland, so but it's along the river.
Yeah. But yeah, next time I'm there, I'll take up some of your recommendations.
It's all good. Anyways, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Third Space Indy. You can find me at Third Space Indy on Instagram.com. Oh, wait, not Instagram.com. You can find me at Third Space Indy on Instagram or at thirdspaceindy.com, where I write a blog with every episode most of the time.
Wild that you do that.
It's gotten draining recently. Thank you so much to City Rising for sponsoring the podcast, and thank you, as always, to the local artist Jennison for giving me your music to use as the intro music to my show. Once again, thank you for watching or listening. Have a great day. Goodbye. Thank you, Mars.